MMA became a global business. Before fighters signed million-dollar contracts. Before fame came with sponsors and bright lights. There was Kimbo Slice. His real name was Kevin Ferguson. Born in the Bahamas and raised in the rough neighborhoods of Miami. This wasn't a place where dreams were encouraged. It was a place where survival came first. Kimbo didn't grow up with coaches or structured training. He grew up with pressure, violence, and instinct. The street was his first gym. Fear was his first opponent. In the early 2000s, something unusual started happening. Raw, grainy videos began appearing online. Street fights filmed with handheld cameras. No gloves, no rules, no mercy. And in the center of those videos stood a man who didn't rush, didn't panic, didn't flinch. Kimbo Slice. His punches weren't fast. They were devastating. Every movement felt calculated, heavy, final. Opponents stepped in confident and walked out broken. The internet didn't even have a name for going viral. But Kimbo already was. Millions of views, millions of reaction. Some people were horrified. Others were fascinated. To many, Kimbo became a myth. To others, a warning. But behind the beard, the scars and the violence, Kevin Ferguson knew something the viewers didn't. Street fame is temporary, and the street always comes with a price. If he stayed there, the story would end badly. If he left, he would have to prove himself all over again. Transitioned into professional MMA, the world reacted instantly and harshly. Analysts laughed, veterans doubted him, critics called him a gimmick. They said he had no cardio, no wrestling, no technique. They said the street doesn't translate to the cage. But what they underestimated was why people watched Kimbo. Every fight he entered felt dangerous, not strategic, not technical, dangerous. Crowds didn't come to see clean footwork. They came to see whether the legend was real. Kimbo trained relentlessly, trying to compress years of experience into months. His body took damage. His weaknesses were exposed. And the pressure grew heavier with every appearance. Then came the ultimate fighter. For the first time, Kimbo wasn't fighting in the shadows. He was under constant surveillance. Cameras caught his exhaustion, his doubts, his vulnerability. He was no longer the scariest man in the room. And that terrified him more than any opponent ever could. Losses came. Criticism became louder. Fans argued, was Kimbo real or was he exposed? But what most people missed was the truth. Kimbo Slice never pretended to be perfect. He never ran from challenges. He showed up every time. Behind the brutal image was a man chasing legitimacy. Not fame, not money, respect. And even when his body began to fail him, he kept stepping forward. When Slice passed away, the silence wasn't just shock. It was realization. People realized they would never see him walk to the cage again. Never feel that tension when he stood across from another man. Never wonder if this fight would end in 10 seconds. Or total chaos. For years, Kimbo lived under a microscope. Every breath analyzed. Every weakness exposed. The world demanded he be something larger than human. A monster. A myth. An unstoppable force. But Kevin Ferguson was never trying to be a myth. He was trying to be better than yesterday. Those close to him knew the truth. Kimbo trained harder than people think. He listened. He learned. He accepted criticism, even when it cut deep. He knew he would never silence all his doubters, but he kept going anyway. That's what made him different. In a sport obsessed with perfection, Kimbo represented imperfection. He showed that you could be slow, flawed, exhausted, and still dangerous, still brave, still worthy of respect. After his death, fighters began to speak differently about him, not as a gimmick, not as a curiosity, but as a man who carried the weight of an entire era on his shoulders. Kimbo was the bridge between street fighting and professional MMA, between underground violence and global entertainment, between raw authenticity and modern combat sports. Without Kimbo, MMA might have grown slower. Without him, millions may never have watched their first fight. He didn't just bring eyes, he brought emotion. And emotion is what makes legends. Years later, his clips still circulate. The beard, the stare, the moment before the punch lands. New fans discover him and ask the same question everyone once did. Was this man real? Yes, and that's why it mattered. Kimbo Slice reminded the world that fighting isn't always about belts, rankings, or trophies. Sometimes it's about identity, about escaping where you came from without forgetting it, about standing in front of fear and refusing to back away. He fought the cage, he fought the critics, he fought his own limitations. And even in death, he still fights. Through memory, through influence, through legacy. Because some names fade with time, others become history. Kimbo Slice became part of the sport's DNA, not because he was perfect, but because he was real. And